We're traveling over 2,600 miles to dive a challenging island. It's called Kauai, also known as the Garden Isle. And I know Steve went to meet up with Kimmy on the Big Island, but I want to meet local legend Brian Fern to show me the ways. And the first thing that was on the agenda, finding an octopus. Brian showed me this ingenious method of having a weight at the end of his float line, and then if you see an octopus, you can just drop it down, and if something moves, there's an octopus. If it doesn't, it's just a rock and it saves you a dive. Let's listen in.
All right, so you grab by the head like this. There's his eyes, right? Shake him, hold his legs down, figure out where his eye is.
So you want to ethically dispatch this octopus as fast as possible, but if it's giving you troubles with its tentacles, shake them around to disorient them, then find the space between their eyes to pop their brain. Use your back molars. If it's a big octopus, you really want to crank down and bite, but then it'll turn white like this, and then you'll know it's gone.
So I saw him on the rock. I thought could be on the coral head. I dropped my feet. He moved. I confirmed it. Well, they like to do that. They like to put themselves on like the flat coral head. So if you guys go look where my anchor is, that's exactly where he was, on the coral head. So now what you want to use, if you want to use him for bait, before I put him on my belt, I'm going to flip the hood. And I want to clean him before I come out of the water. But I'm going to not clean him now because if we see a good fish, I want to use him for bait. So you flip him inside out. And then if it's a really big octopus and you can't fight him, you put a knife right between the eyes there. Or you can come up through the beak right here and twist it.
Now that we have our fresh octopus, let's take it home and clean it. The best way to do that is to rub off all the slime on this concrete slab, running water over it, then flip it over and cut out the beak. Fun fact, if the octopus can get its beak through a crevice, it can get the rest of its entire body through, which is just nuts.
So to clean an octopus, you flip the hood and you're gonna have all your ink sacs, your 3 hearts, your brain. You just grab it and rip it off. That makes the best bait in the water. Those ink sacs, because the other fish will come and eat it and boom, it discharges all this ink cloud. And then the predatory fish think it's a taco that's trying to evade. I like to clean them before I come in and put it in the cooler, because otherwise all that ink will drain out into your cooler and stain it, and stain all the other fish in the cooler with it. So now this taco is cleaned on the inside. We remove the beak, put this in a Ziploc bag, and take the air out and put it in the freezer. And then when we want to eat it, I'll let it sit in the freezer at least 24 hours, because that helps take it through rigor. And then I'll defrost it, throw it in the sous vide, 3 hours, 190 degrees, and then it comes out to where you split it with a fork.
Now that we have the octopus all cleaned, let's take it into the kitchen and massage in some nice herbs and salts and different things that's gonna make it taste epic.
Now, if you want to know how big a taco is, you get a gallon-sized Ziploc. If the gallon is full, it's a 10-pound taco. So this is a 4.5, 5-pound taco.
Now that the taco is in the Ziploc bag, we throw it in the sous vide and we set it and forget it. Brian promised that this is the method to make sure your taco is not rubbery. We're in Brian's home and we're having seared Omilu. Wait, I need to show you this fish. Before I got to Kauai, Brian sent me an Instagram message and was like, hey man, I got this Omilu that I shot. It's on ice. I can't wait for you to try it raw, sashimi style. My first Omilu. That's good. That's good. Some octopus karage and some ginger poke. A meal fit for a king and queen. Thank you so much for letting us into your home and teaching us your ways.
No worries. Enjoy.
Let's see, guys. When they made the uhu, the parrotfish, the way they wrapped it in the banana leaves, I was like, I need to try that. So before we could just hop in the water and just start shooting uhu, it's helpful to learn about the species, what they like to eat, what their behaviors are. So when I was talking to Brian, he was saying they actually feed on algae. They clean the reef. And when they grind up some of that dead coral, it's actually what turns into sand. So a lot of the sand that you are walking on when you're at the beach is coming out the rear ends of these uhu. They are definitely a pretty smart fish, and they always seem to be just out of range of your spear. So what you need to kind of think about is how can I better myself and ambush them? I'm not really going to be dusting because they're not really a predatory fish, so they're not going to be super curious. I need to be able to be stealthy and figure out what's the right time that they're distracted that I could ambush. But before we get too deep into catching fish, let's talk about spear guns. This is where Brian has been excelling. He does custom roller spear guns and conversion kits. And when you go into his workshop, he is just a wealth of knowledge. And he took my Meandros B28 that I love. It's not a bad gun at all. It has a good trigger mag, it fits my hand. But he's like, there are some significant improvements that we can do that don't cost a lot of money. For example, putting polyurethane foam in the barrel of the gun, which gives it a little bit more density and also takes away that clanking noise. If you've ever been to the bottom of the reef and you rest your gun, sometimes a pipe gun will go clink, 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 and that will, warn the fish that you're around. This will take that away. And then we put on this ceramic bearings roller muzzle. My gosh, this thing is epic. I am a huge fan of this roller head. It does make a difference. I have other roller guns that the friction is just so great compared to having ceramic bearing. And lastly, we needed to make our new bands. This is where people can mess up because rollers are particular. If you don't know the physics, if you don't know the elongation of the rubber that you're using or the pre-tension that's required, you won't have an optimized gun. If you want to learn more about roller spear guns, make sure you like and subscribe to this video. I'll put together a more in-depth version of how we did this. While hunting, you might see these dark fish. They're called Roi, also known as peacock grouper. They're invasive and they're actually wreaking a lot of havoc on the reef. So if you do find them, they're usually in these boulders. Power down your spear gun and just blast them because we really need to get them off the reef if we want to have healthy fish populations.
Thanks for pointing him out. No, I watched you. I was like, oh, he's still there. I'll go get him for you. Thanks, man. All right. Huh? Yeah, serious. Here you go. Let me put the sprinkler real quick.
In the beginning, I was having a lot of trouble trying to catch the Uhu. I was just being a little too predatory. I was trying to really sneak up on them, dive bomb them, and it just wasn't working. It was only when I kind of realized that you can see them from far away, and as long as you are kind of stealthy and kind of find a way to just blend in with the surroundings, once they're distracted, boom, you can get them. Better not to take the blue ones because apparently they're the ones who reproduce to a harem of these. And then these guys are invasive. They are Roi. So one invasive gone, one meaty fish for the family. Remember that Omilu from earlier? Well, Brian has a special message on what you can do with it after you fillet it.
So this is my backyard. So one of the things I like to do with the fish carcass, if I don't bury them in the garden, to act as fertilizer, is to return it back to the ocean. All the other fish will eat it. Reinvesting it into the ecosystem. So we got off all we want, and we're just gonna give it back.
Looking closely at how they prepared their Uhu in the show, it really looks like they did a stuffed Uhu with lapchong wrapped in banana leaves. And there's a couple recipes online that I found, so we're gonna use one of those. But better yet, it's always good to share your fish with your family if you have the opportunity to do so. And I got some family on Oahu. So let's go head over to Oahu and share this catch. The only problem is how are we gonna get a fish from one island to the other? But I was talking to Brian and he said, oh, just stuff it with some ice packs and throw it in your sport tube and check it in, no problems. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So that's what we did. We brought the fish home. And then when we got it to my uncle's house, we had to say like, how are we going to scale this thing? These scales on the parrotfish are thick. They are monstrous. And spoons, just grab a spoon and just start going to town. Just be careful that if you slip, you could cut yourself. So once the fish was fully scaled and gutted, we made sure to rinse it off with some water. And then it was time to bring it into the kitchen and then use a knife to score all the way down to the bone, all the sides of the fillet, and then start smothering it with mayo. In this mayo, we had some salt and some pepper, some garlic inside there as well. You could also use garlic salt if you want. Once we coated every nook and cranny with the mayo, we made sure to throw the kitchen sink at it. I mean, we put the lapchong, we had mushrooms, onions, garlic, you name it, you can throw it in there, whatever you like. Feel free to stuff it into this fish. And then we wrapped it in a banana leaf and wrapped that into aluminum foil and threw it on the grill. And while we were waiting, we definitely had some poke, some fresh poke from Foodland. We had a few brews and just enjoyed conversation. And it took about 45 minutes for, this chunky fish to kind of start falling off the bone. And I mean, my gosh, if you haven't had a chance to try this mayo sauce, it is game changing when it comes to fish. But this is what it's all about, guys. This is what I was hoping that I would be able to emulate from what Steve was able to do in Hawaii. I feel like we did it here. Nothing better than traveling, getting a fish, and sharing it with your family. The real question is, where should we go next? Let me know in the comments below. See you on the next one.